In the very end of 2015 and all through 2016, we launched a proof of concept just in Boston, Massachusetts, where I live. And what we wanted to do was for 16 months, use every election, local, state, and federal elections, to try to prove out two things. One, could we accurately identify people who list climate as a top priority, yet weren't voting? And then two, could we get them to start voting? And so we worked in multiple elections over that 16-month period to try to figure that out. And first we had to raise the money. We raised $400,000 in a crowdfunding campaign. And then for 16 months, tried to prove out these two things. And by the end of that period, we had killed it on both metrics. We were really, really accurately identifying these non-voting environmentalists. And then in randomized control trials, we were proving that we were increasing turnout among the ones we communicated with compared to a control group that we weren't talking to. And once we had all that data, we could just start expanding into additional states.
Well, tell us how you identified this group, because that's challenge number one, and then you can go into challenge number two of how to get them activated and doing something.
Yeah, so what we do is we build predictive models on voter files, which, as you might know, is the same technique that most big campaigns now use to identify voters. So first, it starts with us polling huge numbers of people, like tens of thousands of voters. But we only ask them one question. We say, hey, what's your number one most important political issue? Then we isolate the people who say climate and environmental issues are their number one priority. All right. Then we work with data scientists to try to learn as much as we can about these people who said climate's their number one priority and the characteristics that define different groups of them. And then we start trying to find other people who are like them all around their state. And it's a long iterative process, and we test and build these models such that at the end of it, what we are able to do is identify all the likely climate first voters in a state. Now, to be clear, Matt, it's a predictive model. And predictive is the operative word. So it's not 100% accurate, but it's about as accurate as you can get without having to interview every single individual voter in a state, which you're obviously never going to be able to do. So at the end of this process, we've assigned a score to every single voter.
So tell us in terms of, this could be a very valuable piece of information to environmental groups that are trying to activate people that will actually vote other than your own. Do you share any of this data and your findings with others?
So we share our findings. We are not legally permitted to share the granular data because it's built on top of public voter files, and you can't take this data and then give it to other people. The companies that rent out voter file access, you can't just take their product and then give all the data to someone else for free. But what we can do is provide analysis to other groups that's sort of one level up from the individual level. And so this is one thing that we love to do with partner nonprofits, is we say, hey, would it be helpful for us to let you know the demographic characteristics and geographic location of all of the neighborhoods with lots of environmentalists in southeastern Alabama? Or would it be helpful to know in X legislative district how many people we've identified who care deeply about the environment and how many of them vote versus don't vote? Things like that we share all the time.